Yeah, warm welcome to our Saddle Me talk format. We are today very proud to have Morten here, Morten Arve Thomsen. Morten is a guy what you shouldn't even mention the family name because he's one of those what everybody knows by first name Morten. That's what you have to achieve in this sport. So thank you for having you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we are really happy to have you here. So you and me, we met to some client's place a few years ago, and
Not a few years ago. That's many years ago.
is it?
Yeah.
Okay, no. Okay, but that's I feel it's a few years ago. Anyhow, I was in that time was a bit. I'd struggle with longing a horse. What I had to do because there was like a recombalance, was a bad injury, so I had to bring him back, and then I used some girth, longe girth, and we were discussing about that there were no longe girth existing, what really works, because they all pinch in the elbow, they pinch on the shoulder, and they, when you bend them inside, it's always narrow on the shoulder. So I went forward and then used an old saddle and put a girth over it, but then there was no place for the side reins and stuff. So and out of this we found. Actually, we found a new product, this longe saddle. We even did patented it. This friend of mine from Switzerland, Rudi Gerber, and me. And I was happy with this, but I thought, okay, you have to ask a real expert. And then as we met, I thought, okay, Morten, it's legend, Mr. Piaffe, let him ask what he think about. And yeah, and we worked a little bit, and you gave a lot of input in this product, and we are now far beyond where we were and have a funny tool to work with, both of us. But I thought it's very interesting also to tell a bit the story, like how you see the things. And I heard a couple of times, like I heard about me with my saddles, that people say, yeah, come on, if you're a good rider, you don't need all this modern saddle stuff, so you just go ahead and ride. And same thing with you, that they say, yeah, Morten, okay, if you make it like real, then you don't have to trick. And Morten, he's perfect with tricks, but he's not really like a serious educator. So I think it makes me angry because I see you working. And I thought we just have to give you also a little bit the place and the time to explain what you're doing, and that I'm really looking forward to hear from you. What is your system?
I could say I don't have a system, but I have a system.
Yeah, of course you have.
And my system is that, first of all, I want the horses to like me. I want them to like to stay with me. And then I want them to learn things, and I want them to ask what can I do to learn things. And so one of the first things I teach them is that they have to stay by me. A horse is a flight animal, and they want to go away. Yeah. They want to be not with us. And I want to make it so that they say, okay, if I stay with this guy, everything is good. Everything is easy. And then I can start to educate the horse. And Piaffe, of course, Piaffe is one of the things that people know me for, because I have taught a lot of horses that couldn't do it, Piaffe or Passage, but it's not the main thing that I teach horses. I teach them many things before I can do Piaffe Passage. And they have to learn a lot of things before they can do Piaffe Passage.
Yeah, and that's what I've seen working with you. And also we just also work with our horses together, and I'm totally fascinated how you go this way. And I just had to remember my first riding teacher also many years ago, of course. I was 12 years old, and that guy was already 82. He was an officer from the cavalry still. It was like one of the last remaining. And he always said, you can do working with the horses two ways. Either way, you try to educate them, or what he prefers is build up a surroundment where the horse have the chance to learn what you want them to learn, which sounds similar, but it's totally different from the way how you started. And it's exactly what I find back in your work. And so when you think about it, what is it? People say you tricks in, okay, and that means they do better or different. Let's say not better, just different. So let's say the serious education from the Deutsche Reitlehre or from whatever book What is different to what you are doing to this official, serious, like scale of education and stuff? So I don't see the difference, because if you go in the stable and want the horse give up a hoof, or have him on the trailer backwards, or do some stuff, you expect that the horse learn this. And of course, you never would think about it's a trick that you can clean up a hoof. There, nobody say it's trick. But if you learn them Piaffe Passage, they say it's trick. So what is the difference?
I think the difference is that I teach my horses very early, and they don't have to be perfect, but they have to learn very early different things, and I teach them from the ground.
Yeah.
And I find it easier if they know what I want, to get on and then ask for it. If I sit on the horse and the horse is not born with a manual, it doesn't come to the world and say, if he pulls in the reins and if he kicks with his legs or he used the whip, I have to piaffe. That's maybe 1 of a million that does that. And then what I want them to do is that they know the cue for whatever I want to do. If I want to make a flying change, it doesn't help that I teach the horse to go into canter through forward impulsion. Of course, the horse should have forward impulsion, but I don't give extra forward impulsion to teach it to go into canter. If I give extra forward impulsion and I then do a flying change, the horse will run away and I have to hold it back. Then I get problems. So I want to teach the horse so that I can give a cue and they know what cue. Of course, I need to give forward impulsion. Like you need to ride your horse over the back and everything. Yeah. And there's also certain things that I do before I teach different things. But first of all, I need to teach them to respect, not to respect, but to go away from pressure and to stay with me.
But that's communication.
That's communication.
All what you say is like communication. I mean, that's also your background, like with all these different ways of working with horses. What makes you Morten? I mean, all the history where you like met people who did things in a different way, what you were mentioned before. But for me, it's all communication. So communication can't be the wrong or the bad way. I mean, communication is communication. So, and I think it's much smarter and more also when it comes to welfare, a lot more elaborated if you, before you ask a horse to do things probably to realize, okay, do we speak the same language? Yeah. And this is what I see when you work with the horses. It looks like that you guys, the horse and you, try to evaluate what is our language that we can understand each other. And so that's the reason why it makes me so angry when people is like talking from downright, said it's just tricksing. I don't think it's trick, it's communication. And for me, that's the main thing what I see with you, right?
Yeah, I've done this many years, and I don't know why, how I started. I just found out that if I do things slow, I get much quicker result. And then many years ago, I had a client in America, and she had been watching me for some years, and then she said to me, now I know why your system works. And I said, yes, why? Yeah, because you do everything slow. That's why it works. I said, yeah, I know that it works, but why do you say that? Yes, she said, now I've read the book, The Talent Code. And in that book, it describes that if you do things slow, it becomes a muscle memory. Yeah. And then you can ask for the things quick, and then you will still do it the same way. And that's not why I do it, but I found out that I'm doing it like they do in this book.
And that's very modern, because if you listen to those who, pray for the classic education and like all these kind of things, I mean, they say you should everything is built up like a stair. You should reach this level to reach that level to reach that level, and like Piaffe Passage and handwork and let the horse make half steps and stuff. They say that comes like MS advanced level, so you shouldn't even think about it before. And you start early with them, right? I mean,
I start very early.
Like kids.
I start very early because I want to be able, first of all, I want to be able to give them breaks. Yeah. But I also want to be able to take it in very small steps. Yeah. And of course, there's things that the horse has to do before I can start to do Piaffe.
Yeah.
Like there's also things that I do before I break them in. I have to do certain things. They have to be standing still. They have to be going backwards. They have to be going sideways before I even start to launch them. They have to be certain things that I have to do before I start to sit on them. There has to be certain things that the horse has to know before I start to do Piaffe. And sometimes it's different things that I do before I start to do Piaffe. But what really is, what it really comes to is that we try to make a horse that the horse looks nice, that the picture looks really nice.
Yeah, and it is exactly, sorry to interrupt, but this is exactly what it is, what brings us together. Because for me, I also see in the past, the horses was just, I mean, they weren't really mobile. They weren't really like that they could trot and do all the lections and all the job in the same way than they could today, because they are today like special breeded on this. So they are so much more talented for so many other things, but what they lose due to the breeding goals, what just makes them trot bigger, higher, whatever, they lose the capacity to carry a rider's weight. So, and what I see in your work is you make them not, I mean, it's communication, yes, and that's good for things, but you also prepare the body, that the horse get a balance, that the horse is also really, I mean, you like as a by effect, you get the skills to carry a rider, to balance a rider on the top. And I think that's what you said with this being beautiful, because when a horse is like prepared, I mean, that's the thing, or?
Yeah, and I don't have one way that I do it with every horse, because now I realize that the reason why I change my methods sometimes is because of different things that the horses have, like the
ECVM, yeah.
VM, that they can be weak somewhere in the body. And what I do is I see what I see on the horse, and then I try, there I need to push more behind, there I need more hind leg.
Almost by accident, you just figure it out.
Yeah.
And now you get later on the information why it didn't. Yeah, and
it doesn't work, and then I need to do more of this kind of work. And the same, you say stability. I don't crawl on a horse. I don't get on a horse before I can stand next to it and jump next to it, before I can stand in the stirrup next to it. Because if I get on before, it's like just hope for the best and not really teach the horse.
And I mean, you still do it yourself with breaking in. I mean, you don't break them in, you prepare them. And then but that's not everybody is doing in our age. And I mean, this is something what you really, either way you're crazy or you have a really system to prepare a horse. And
I'm not crazy, and I'm not brave.
No.
So
maybe yes, I don't know, but so crazy you're not.
I prepare my horses so well that they know what is coming.
Yeah.
And I prepare them in the way that if I put a saddle on a horse, I take the saddle off. They see it. If I put a saddle pad on a horse, if the horse move around, I keep the saddle pad on the horse. And when the horse stands still, I take the saddle pad off.
Yeah.
So very soon the horse says, if he comes with the saddle pad, I need to stand still, because then he takes it away.
Yeah, cool.
If he comes with the saddle, I need to stand still, because then he takes the saddle away.
Yeah.
If he puts his stirrup if he puts his foot in the stirrup, I need to stand still, because then he goes away again.
Yeah. It's just, but that's what I would call smart and not trick. And that's why what I want to catch back as a little, like, also as a summit, what you said, that it's nice to have them beautiful and to have them with you. I mean, that can't be a trick, right? I think it's just smart. So
for me at least, it's smart, because then I don't fall off.
No, and it looks more beautiful in the end of the day when the horse is relaxed. I think there we're on the same page. Stressed horses aren't beautiful.
No.
And when they're relaxed and trust you, they are more beautiful, and then they also last longer. So it's worth it. So
yeah, it is worth it.
Fantastic. Let's keep to that. Great.